Hello, students. Professor Lipscomb here to help you get through Guided Project 2-3. Now, this is a rather lengthy project, so at the beginning of this recording here, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it all done in one recording or I'll split it in two, but I want you to pay special attention to how this works out. This is an amortization schedule, and I think it will serve you well to understand how it's calculated. Also built into Excel is some amortization templates, or at least one out there. So if you have a car loan or something that you want to just play around with, I always encourage you to do it. It's nice to see how your money is being spent. Okay, let's not delay. Let's get started. I'll try not to be quite as long-winded in this particular video. Okay, so of course we're going to enable editing, and we've opened our workbook. We're going to enable editing, and we're going to I'm sorry, when I have two screens, so it likes to jump over there. Let me do my Windows right arrow, and that will take me to the side-by-side view that you see here. Okay, so we're going to select cells B5 through C8. Okay, and then the next thing it's asking us to do is to hold our control key and select E5 through F7. Okay, so that's what it should look like. And we're going to create from selection. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to create some range names. So we're going to go to our formulas tab. We're going to go to defined names and choose create from selection. The directions tell us to make sure that top row is not checked, left column is, and we're going to click OK. So that's that. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to click the Name Manager button. So again, under Define Names, Name Manager. And we're just going to take a look that it looks like what is being shown here in our directions. And they're using absolute references. Now, if you've not had it, Excel before, if you didn't take ITE 152, and I know many of you did not, if you don't understand the difference between relative and absolute references, please take a moment to make sure that you do understand that. I won't go into detail here since I'm trying to keep the video short, but make sure you understand the difference between relative and absolute references. Okay, we're just going to click close here. Let me catch up on our check boxes. Again, this is a rather lengthy project, so I just want to make sure we're following along. Okay. Now we're going to enter the payment function. So the first thing we want to do is select cell C8. So C8, and that's where our payment is. If you notice there, I had more things selected. Just make sure that you only have C8 selected. If you get in trouble with Excel, escape key is your friend, because you can escape out of something that you're not trying to do and then go do what you need to do. So I'm in C8, and I'm going to click on the Financial button. That is on my Formulas tab, Financial, and I'm going to choose Payment. So that is PMT. All of these are alphabetized, so pretty easy to find. We're going to click in the Rate box, and then we're going to click cell C7. Okay, C7, that's our rate. And again, these are absolute references, so that's why we want to do this versus putting in C7 as far as what that says. Okay, we want to click on C7 and it's going to use the range name. So the next thing we need to do is divide that by 12, and that is for our monthly payments. And then we're going to click our NPER box, okay, and we're going to click on cell C6. Okay, C6, and we're going to times that or multiply that by 12, okay, because that's our monthly payment. So for 60 months, and then we're going to click on PV, okay, PV, and we are going to use the minus sign here, and we are going to select loan amount of $10,000. Okay. Now, the reason is that negative loan amount is reflecting the lender's perspective because the money's, being paid out now. Okay, and that's really all we're going to do right here. But if you're curious and you want to go more in depth, make sure you look up what each of these do. It will also tell you down here, look, calculates the payment for a loan based on constant payments and a constant interest rate. Okay, that's what this whole function area does. And then each one, it will tell you NPER is the total number of payments for the loan. Our rate tells us what our rate is, what PV is. We're not using FV here. This is for future value and type. That's not being addressed here. So we're going to go ahead and click OK. And that should be a payment of $186.43. Now, as you go along, I will encourage you to download the solutions file. So as you're doing things, you're checking to make sure that your values are correct. Now, this one actually tells us here in the directions, but when we get further into this assignment, some things won't be there. So if you just go to your solutions document, it'll show you what your cell should have in it. Okay, now we're going to format cell C8. So we're going to go to C8, and that is where our payment was, and we need to use the accounting format here. So that's going to be on our home tab, our number group, and we're going to change from currency to accounting. Okay, perfect. Now we are going to create a total interest formula. So we're going to click in cell F5. Okay, going on over here to F5. And that is going to be our total interest. So this is really, a value that's calculated by multiplying the monthly payment by the total number of payments to kind of determine how much money you're going to spend on this. So to do that, we start with the equal sign, and it's going to be equal to C8. Okay, that's our payment. And then we're going to multiply that payment by C6, and that is our loan term. And then we are going to multiply that by 12 to represent our 12 monthly payments. And then we're going to subtract the loan amount. Okay, so if we did this correctly, you can look in our directions. It should say equals payment times loan term times 12 minus the loan amount, and we press enter. So that number is 1,185.81, and that is how much interest is going to be paid on this loan. So already, if you have not been digging into your finances to see how much you're spending when you have a loan, just look at this one. It's a $10,000 loan for 5 years or 60 months at the rate of 4.5%, and the person's going to spend almost $1,200 in interest. Okay, next we're going to click on F6. This is our total principal. So we're going to use our equals button for the total loan amount, and we're going to press enter because that is our principal portion of this loan. And now we're going to calculate the total cost of the loan. So in F7, we're going to click the equals F5 plus F6. All right. And when we press enter, our result should be $11,185.81. And that is the total cost to the consumer here on this loan. Okay. Now, you probably learned order of mathematical operations when you were in math class. But if you need a refresher, just jump out on the internet. There's some great refreshers on order of mathematical operations. Remember, whatever you put into Excel, it is calculating it based on how you put it in. So if you put something in incorrectly, your calculation will be incorrect. All right, this one's pretty simple and straightforward though, but we're going to start with B13, and we are going to say that's equal to C5. That's our beginning balance. Pressing enter here. They want us to use the accounting format. So again, that's on your home tab in your number group. We're going to move from general to accounting. Okay, that's taken care of. We're going to select C13. So that is our interest. And we are going to calculate our interest by saying that that is equal to cell C13. I'm sorry, I just messed that up. Okay, let's see. Select C13 did that. Okay, equals B13. I knew I had something wrong there. B13 times, and then we're going to use our parenthesis and cell C7. That's our rate. and then we're going to ignore where it's trying to help us here, okay? It tells you to ignore the autocomplete, and then we are going to divide that by 12. So divide by 12 and then use our parenthesis. So your formula should look like this, equals B13 times rate divided by 12, and press enter. So that number should be 3750. And again, if you were not sure, it's easy enough to look in your solution sample. Okay, it's also, I think, oh, it's not here actually. All right, let me just check off all these directions. That was step 6. And when you're doing the project on your own, you can take your time to go a little, you can check each one off as you do it. I've actually had students who decided to print this out and literally physically check it off as they go, and that's okay. Also realize that when it says 3750 here and it has parentheses, yours should not have parentheses. Okay, now we're going to select D13. That's our principal amount. And we're going to do equals, and we're going to say cell C8. Okay, so C8, that's our full payment amount. And we're going to minus C13. That's how much interest we paid. Okay, so that means that the principal amount on this loan that we're paying is $148.93. So the full payment's $186, but the only thing going towards our principal is $148.93. Okay, so next step here is we are going to, I just have to make sure I'm not skipping ahead. We're going to do our total payment. Let's see, where was I? 148. Click E13. That's here, total payment. And this is going to be, the total payment is the interest portion plus the principal. So we're going to say equals cell C13. C13, there's our interest, plus D13. Okay, that's how much we spent towards principal. And when we hit enter, that should equal our payment amount, which it does, $186.43. Okay, and then the next thing that we're going to do is our ending balance. So, and the good thing is they give you a table here where you can see what those should look like. So in this column, we're going to do equals B13. So B13 minus D13, which is how much went to principal. And that is going to be our ending balance. And the reason that's important is now we know how much we still owe on this loan. All right, we are on step 7. So now we are going to select cells A13 and 14. Those are these two cells right here. And you can see that they increment by 1. 1, 2. There's nothing special in these cells. See, a 1 and a 2. And so now we are going to fill out the rest of this table. So we're going to use our fill handle and we're going to drag all the way down to A72 to represent all 60 payments. So we're just going to do this. And if you go too far, not a problem, just back it on up and then let go of your mouse key and you've already populated that in. All right, that is beautiful. And that's what I love about Excel, because there's a lot of work that we don't have to continue to do. It does it for us. All right, so now we're going to go to cell B14. Okay, and this is the beginning balance from for the payment on month 2. So that is going to be equal to F13. Okay, perfect. Now what it's telling us to do here, and this is really cool. If you've not used Excel before, I think this will get you a little excited. We're going to go back to B14 and we are going to make sure this looks like a black cross, right? And we're going to double click rapidly and notice what happens. It fills out the rest of the table. Now it's only dashes because we have nothing to compute yet, but that's okay. In a few moments, we'll fill out the whole table. Now we're going to select cells C13 through F13. Now, here's the cool part. Watch this magic. Again, move this till you get your black crosshairs there or your cross. Double click quickly, and now we have completely populated our table. Now, this is where I say do a quick little check, and actually the directions tell you to do that. Scroll down to row 72 and make sure it says 0. Okay, it does. Now we can just simply use our control key, hit home, and it takes us back to the top of our document. So very good. If you're there right now, I encourage you to go ahead and hit save. I don't have my autosave on, maybe you do, but go ahead and save your file because you've made great progress. All right, so now the next thing we're going to do is step 8, preview the document and insert print titles. Okay, so we're going to select cell A12. All right, so cell A12, that's this one. Make sure that it is highlighted, selected when you're moving between windows. Sometimes you're not quite on your active sheet when you've clicked, so make sure that green box is around there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click the page layout command tab and click print titles. So we're going to go to our page setup group, and that is again page layout, page setup group right here, and then print titles. Okay, we click that. And then what we're going to do is click the rows to repeat at the top box, and we're going to click 812. So rows to repeat right here. We're going to click here and then A12. Okay, and that automatically populated what we want. And we know this because we're going to print preview. And now look, this is page 1. Now watch when we go to page 2. See how that call or that row is repeated on page 2. So that's exactly what we want. And then we're going to click the page setup link at the bottom. And we are going to center the page horizontally. That is on our margins tab. And center the page horizontally and press OK. And then we're going to return to the worksheet. Okay, at this point, let me just go ahead and check off all of these directions. Okay, we're moving right along. We're on step 9. And I know right now it feels like we've done a lot, and we sure have. So at this point, I think what I'll do is, since this is the part where we're going to go to the next page, I think I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording and break it into a second recording. Okay, so I'll see you in the second half.